we'll start with you. You're from Hyderabad, now in Kanpur, and you're running the family office. It's what you do now, but the journey has been a little different. You've born in a place where you said you and your brother were treated the same. Everything was given the same, whatever you want to do, everything was the same. Despite that, did you feel growing up, not in the house, but outside the house, that you had to be just a little bit better than everybody else? Or where was it or did you always feel, this is what I'm meant to be? I'm just going to go out and do what I want to do.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Lovely to be here, and a really loaded question. I still feel every single day I need to be a little bit better. But yeah, lovely to be here in Hyderabad. I was born and brought up in Hyderabad, part of a business family. And like Lakshmi said, growing up, my father had the same ambitions for both me and my brothers. And went abroad, got my education, and then I got married. I come from a Banya family. It was a typical arranged marriage. Got married into Kanpur, into a beautiful family. But all of a sudden, despite my best of education, I got a master's. I went to Northeastern and Harvard. I got a master's in economics. Despite my best of education, I was at a loss of what to do. And that's something which a lot of women face, right? I joined my husband in his family business, he was setting up radio stations at that time, which is now known as Radio City. And I worked with him for about a year or so. And I was given a very ceremonious marketing head role, and I did not find myself fulfilling that role. So I went ahead, I had a 2-year-old, went ahead, enrolled myself at IIT Kanpur to fulfill my dream of pursuing my PhD. And I'm actually an economist who's accidentally found herself to be an investor. I did not start my journey or was not handed over a family office, because when I started, which was about 15, 17 years back, there was no concept of family office then. I don't think a lot of people, it's quite a sexy word today, I run a family office, but a lot of people did not even know what a family office was. So I actually started by just offering my father-in-law. We had a liquidity event. Our company had gone IPO, and my father-in-law was, surrounded by wealth managers. And I sort of offered him, let me just put all your investments together. And that was 14 years back, and today we are a full-fledged family office. And coming back to your question, did I have to prove myself? Yes, every single day. Not just because of my gender, but I can just ask in the audience, how many people do you know, daughter-in-laws, who are given the onus of managing a family office? Usually it's the men who hold the purse strings in the family, or daughters are given the business. I've been entrusted as a daughter-in-law to manage the wealth of the family, and that's a huge responsibility and a huge burden as well. Like I'm admitting it today. It's a huge burden itself, because you're every day, leave alone the expectations of the people, but every day you're trying to sort of make sure you're worthy of that position. And it's taken a while to sort of be comfortable and say, hey, you know what? I'm good at this. And that is why. It's not, I always started by saying, I'm so grateful, I've been given that opportunity. And it's not like I'm not grateful. I'm not taking that away for the opportunity, but I'm here today also because I'm good at what I do. I'm good at making money, right? And it's taken a lot of going inside and thinking inwards to accept that and say it out loud that I'm good at this.
Yeah, I think it's something that women have to learn a lot, to just take a bow. When someone, when I was at Intel, like somebody would say, oh, you did such a good job. I say, oh, it's not me, it's John, it's Tim or whatever, So my boss pulled me aside and said, it's so difficult to recommend you for any progress, because they'll all say, she said she didn't do it, John did it, so we should give the promotion to John. She said, will you learn to say thank you and shut up? That was like the biggest lesson I got, is if somebody says something nice to you, just say thank you and shut up. don't have to say, oh, it's not me, thank you, I'm so grateful, I'm so this. I mean, we just feel like we have to like do this huge explanation of, I've just been given this and I've just been lucky and it's just, I'm great, whatever it is. So I think it's great to come into your own and say, thank you and shut up. That's like a big thing. And, with that, I mean, you are a kind of a younger version of her, I think, is sort of also looking at that. And you also went away, did something else, had an experience and said, okay, maybe if there is a responsibility, if there's an opportunity to do something with the family office, why not? And you came back to it. So tell me a little bit about that transition to say, hey, I've done something different. We have plenty of mics to go around, so it's okay.
So good morning.
Sorry, I've requested, please take your badges off and put it. The reason I say that to all the speakers is these talks will go online and they'll be watched by many people. They may or may not know if you're at a conference. Least number of distractions when people are looking at you is best. So that's why I always request, take your badges off before you get on stage. That's the reason. Sorry. Go ahead.
Good morning, everybody, and thank you, Lakshmi, for hosting it, and shout out to Vani Garu for actually organizing the whole thing. My journey is a little bit different, and I'm, Aarti here is far more experienced than I am. I was also born and raised in Hyderabad. I went to college in Singapore, and my story kind of forms into 3 chapters so far. The professional, the tried entrepreneur, and now the investor. As a professional, I had about 5 years of experience. I really started from ground up. I worked as an analyst at a private equity fund and a venture capital fund. And, it really taught me a lot about hard work and just being humble. As an entrepreneur, I had about 3 years of experience there. I founded and operated a startup called Hera. We were basically a women's wellness company, focusing on giving wellness to women kind of looking at fertility, pregnancy, and maternity stages, starting with just supplements, and then we expanded, in other directions. As an investor, I'm very new to the game. I've just kind of joined the family office about a year ago, so lots to learn and lots to do. But the goal, obviously, is to kind of grow the family office and definitely spend at least 1% of those returns on some sort of impact investing. The journey really has been, a lot of different avatars. So I'm really looking forward to it.
Interrupt a minute and say that we went through your entrepreneurial journey. Can we stop there a little bit and say, you've been an entrepreneur in the best school possible, which is your home. You've seen entrepreneurship at home. You've been surrounded by people. And when you were an entrepreneur, there was a time you decided, I will not be an entrepreneur anymore. What caused that decision?
I think what Funny kind of said, personally digging into it, absolutely, I was so passionate. I felt like at a very early age, I was able to find my passion, and then it kind of became my purpose and all of that. And, to add to what Funny kind of said, it kind of started becoming my identity too. I obviously, faced troubles with the product market fit and, to be able to raise funding because the last 3 years haven't been easy and stuff like that. So I guess it's the management of the stress that I wasn't very good at. So the stress ended up stopping me. But, it's my first run. I'm only 30. So, I'm looking forward to maybe returning to that journey another time in my life. And maybe this time being able to handle that stress better. And also to become more confident before that, where my purpose is not being defined by that startup, right? To kind of find my own internal self first before going back into that journey.
Mm-hmm. And Aarti, in your case, we talked a little bit about the investment, the family office and things like that. So as you've done that, have you looked at everything from public markets to entrepreneurs, etc.? What's been your experience of women in business? We talked a lot earlier about the financial responsibility, the understanding of finances, and what did you see out there, and what do you feel still needs to be done in terms of financial acumen?
So, I mean, I invest a lot. So I run, in addition to the family office, I have a venture firm where we invest into early stage startups as well. And about 35 to 40% of our investments have at least one women founder. So, and I'm very, very passionate to promote women entrepreneurship, but we have a long, long way to go. Obviously, the big writing on the wall is there is not enough funding, right? And that's there. But there is a lot of work which I think women founders also need to do on themselves, especially, and that's changing. I mean, where it started, where it was 10 years back to today, I think it's really changing. I think at the very core, a founder or no founder, every woman, for whatever reason, is scared of finance. They have a very twisted relationship with money, where we almost feel it doesn't belong to us. And, and that needs to change. And, like Vaishnavi said, I run a foundation as well, where we do this program called I Am My Own Lakshmi, right? Where, and I want to give some context to this. When I started, and if we have the time, I just want to say the story. I was this really independent girl in Boston, managing my credit card, working, all of that bit, right? And then I got married, and my father handed this portfolio of mine to my husband, right? Yeah. And manage this for her.
Please take care of her.
Please take care of her. And I was like, overnight, have I lost the ability to understand money? And believe me or not, this is not something new or different. It happens every day in our country.
And from a father who treated you equal.
Absolutely.
All along,
he wanted me to be an IAS officer, right? He wanted me to go pursue the dreams. He still has high ambitions for me. But this was the trend, and I let that happen. But over the journey of 14 years, when I discovered the power in managing money, the empowerment it gave me, I actually want to stand tall on buildings and scream to all women out there, understand money matters, because it is very, very important. Mm-hmm. So to all the entrepreneurs out there, do not outsource your financial bit. Understand money. And also, I think a great point was said by Fanny in the beginning, where he spoke about tying your ego and your self-worth to the startup. Within that startup also, if there's something worst or the least you should tie your ego and self-worth is to the valuation of your startup, right? If you want to be proud of the product you've created, be proud of it, right? Tie your worth to that. Or if you want to kind of tie your worth to the impact you're creating. But the valuation, this whole frenzy which we are in India, this whole game of valuation, every report I see is the fastest growing company. This unicorn has become a unicorn in 16 months. It's great for us as investors. We are not complaining. But, as entrepreneurs, it puts so much pressure on them. So, so with women, I think financial literacy is paramount. I cannot stress enough on that. And whatever money you're earning, you need to understand how to invest it, how to grow it, and all of that.
Yeah, in fact, I take it a step further. I was talking to my niece. She's a housewife. She stays home. I said, look, you own 50% of whatever is earned. So you should have your own account, have at least X% be put in that account, and whatever you do. And she said, but I have a credit card, and then my husband doesn't say anything about whatever I use it for. I said, no, but he knows everything what you're using it for. You should have something that you can do whatever you want. You should have that independence. And I think we feel, but he's the one working, so why should I? So I feel everybody should have that. And in a way, sometimes what doesn't work also can find some other avenue. In your case, you did a femtech product, it didn't work, but now it's an area you're thinking about as to what to do. So tell us about, maybe not as an entrepreneur, but as an investor, What's your interest in that?
Absolutely. Like, similar to Aarti, I think, there are two things that are kind of happening parallelly in my life right now. One of it is obviously the family office and, trying to kind of set that up and get going and grow that. But the second side of it is really where, which is the foundation, Hera Foundation. And what Hera basically does is, the problem that we've identified is only today in India, most women have an equal opportunity to kind of get educated as well as, have some employment. But still, only 23% of women actually participate in the workforce. And out of that, 73% end up dropping out after having a kid. And when we had a lot of roundtables with this, we really kind of realized that what these women need and to kind of stay in the workforce, because financial independence, really comes if you're continuing to be in the workforce, right? So we've also put together a program that basically kind of, offers both men and women. It's very important to talk to the men in this conversation.
Yes, very much.
And
it's a partnership.
It's absolutely a partnership. It's a partnership. And, the program basically talks to both men and women. To kind of just give them emotional as well as physical support to kind of continue to thrive in the workplace. We've started off with stuff like masterclasses and power circles and stuff that give emotional support. But one of the key things that we really realized is they actually want help at home. They're like, listen, all of this stuff is great, but I'll only be able to do all of it if you're able to give me that support at home, right? And that's something that we're kind of working on right now. And the overall, I'm doing that through the foundation. We're doing a pilot project this year with about 1,000 women to see what kind of interventions will really support them to stay in the workplace. Yeah. Apart from that, obviously, similarly, I'm always kind of looking out for opportunities for femtech, anything in the health and skills development type of space for women, solving some real problems there. Yeah. I'm constantly following all the great startups. There've been a wave of, I guess, menstrual health startups, and then there are like fertility startups and, pregnancy and parenting related apps. I'm constantly following them and, kind of want to look into them as putting together more of an incubator and accelerator towards that.
Yeah. I think there's a couple things that are said here we really should underscore is that it's a partnership. Yeah. It's not about an angry relationship. It's not about an injustice. For the first time, we have an equal partnership possibility. And the second thing is that there's a very analytical way in which these things are happening, like you talked about the percentages, etc. And actually, there's been research done, and Wall Street Journal did this thing about most of the women drop off between the ages of like 28 and 30. 31 or so, because that's when your first promotion happens. And if you took time off, or if you don't know how to ask for it, you don't get that, then you feel like, I might as well stay home with my kids, So, and it's actually called the broken rung. Yeah. So if we focus, there is very possible ways in which you can address these problems at different places. So Sindhu, who heads SAP, was saying that they just have a crash in the company now. So it just makes it possible. So I just want to thank both of you for talking about what you're focusing on. We have like very short time, but like your one word or your insight into yourself in running whatever you're doing. What would you like your family office to accomplish or stand for, each of you? And it's not like we have to solve world hunger, not at all. Just in your own way, what would you like for it to reflect?
Create impact, right? Like actually bring about meaningful change while making money as well. So but create impact, I think. I've not yet thought about legacy and stuff like that, right? But I've inherited a legacy, and I hope I can only sort of add to it and grow and compound it, right? I love the word compounding, and I strongly believe, and if I can just take a minute and give out a message to everyone, there are entrepreneurs out here, that if you have to believe in the power of compounding, and it's not just for money. Every single thing you do in your company today, whether good, bad, or ugly, will have an exponential effect. So when you're small and you're trying to build good processes, it will reap benefits later. But if you're going to ignore the small problems, whether it is certain financial irregularity or a not so good team member or a not so solid culture, it will have an exponential and compounding effect in the future. So think about it while you're here for 3 days and sort of digest it and reflect what is the compounding effect you want to have for your company in the future. This is a wonderful opportunity we've got here today. Thanks, Vani, for this. But truly want to
Thank
leave
you.
with
I
that
think
message.
that's a great way to leave the panel, to say compounding. Thank you very much for your time.
Yeah, thank you.
So, do you want to say anything as a parting word?
No, I mean, it's kind of similar in the sense that I think impact is what we're kind of looking for. And I think for our family office, considering there are fewer women in the finance field, I would like to kind of, center this as, a place for women-based startups or people solving those problems to come to.
Great.
Yeah,
Thanks a lot.
you.
Thank you very much.